Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids, where it is that time once again. Where is it? Over there. Oh god, pointing is hard. We're on the test server. And what I want to show you today, the first video from this test server session, I want to show you all the new champions that are coming with this patch, including the new fusion and the champions you're going to be fusing up to get her, which is pretty intriguing. So first of all, we'll jump into the Sylvan Watchers. We'll talk about Ultan of the Shell in a second, but first of all, Oella, she is the new fusion, so you can see her in the game. I think she looks amazing. To me, it feels like she needs more animation. Actually, she feels a little bit weird. Where her wings are flapping, but she's kind of not moving. I don't know. What do you guys think about this one? Let me know. I think she looks super cool, but she just needs like some movement, like even just be bobbing up and down a bit. I thought Mithrala had a similar thing when she first came to the game. She didn't really have animations, and then they added them in after. So maybe that's what's happened. They had some bugs. I don't. Let me know. some bugs, some butterfly bugs. But we can see her base stats here. We've already seen all of her abilities. I'll flick them up just one by one so you can see them. We've seen this in the preview though. I think this champ looks pretty darn great. Increased resistance and then extend the duration. So keeping up increased resistance all the time. Some turn meter and healing. I think she's a solid champ. I'm definitely going to be grabbing her. I think she looks pretty fun. And the base stats are great. Great HP, great defense, really good speed at 110, and 50 base resistance is going to make her easy to build. To have tons of resistance, at least on herself. Very easy to build. So she'll be a super tank healing you up. You could put her in a Guardian set very easily and still have her resistance super high. You might even get her with enough accuracy to be landing this debuff anyway. So that is pretty cool. Before we come to Ultan, let's look at the two champions you're going to be gathering up in the fusion. So the rare is our second Sylvan Watchers rare, and that is Shadowbow Turlac. I don't know why that's hard to say. Shadowbow. I don't know. So he is a defense-based rare. Visually, actually looks really cool, I think. This guy looks great. Shadowbow. He looks better than a couple of the epics, I'm going to be honest. His titular A1 attacks one enemy with a 50% of putting the small version of decrease attack. Okay, damage based on defense. His A2 is an AoE, books to a 3-turn cooldown AoE attack, puts small version of increased speed on all allies for 2 turns. And then Diversion, his A3, books to a 4-turn cooldown, puts the weak version of Veil on all allies except this champion for 1 turn, and places a shield on all allies equal to 20% of this champ's max HP. And then Camo Covers, passive, decrease the damage received from skills by all allies under Veil or Perfect Veil buffs by 5%. I mean, he's not awful. I don't really see what you'd be doing with him too much. Maybe if you're very early game, the fact that he does bring an increased speed buff, the small version, it might be okay with some damage reduction from this and decreased attack. He might be an alright starter champion for clan boss, right? Compared to, you can get Diabolist from campaign, who sort of does the speed boosting stuff. He has the advantage of a little bit of decreased attack, the Veils with some damage reduction in the shield. So yeah, I think, if you're brand new to the game, you might use him for clan boss early on. It might take him up to 50 and then replace him fairly quickly. And that's, I think, about it. Might be decent for some secret rooms. He does have an AoE. The increased speed, the shield, the Veil is pretty good. He can tank stuff up because the Veil goes on everyone except him. So maybe for some secret rooms. But yeah, I think he's all right. Definitely don't need to rush out to get him. The epic that is going to be part of this fusion then is Maruka. Maruka, who's much more green in her picture than she is in game. I think in game she looks really quite bland by standards of raid, to be honest. She looks like an old champion from a couple of years ago that they didn't put into the game until now. So she is a defense-based epic. Again, standard stats, tanky enough, bit slow, and she's not really going to do much damage. Most likely her damage isn't too high here. Tarfield Affliction, double hitter, each hit with a 30% chance when booked of putting decreased speed for 2 turns. Badlands Witchery, 3-turn cooldown, remove all debuffs from a target ally, then heal them by 50% max HP. And then Return from the Slime, 4-turn cooldown when booked, places Revive on death on all allies for 2 turns. Her passive Springy, each time this champion is hit, increase their defense by 2.5, stacks up to 20%. This champion is should go back to the slime herself. This champion is total trash. This champion is absolutely awful. One of the worst champions I've added to the game. This actually bothered. I'm going to be honest with you. This I would strongly prefer. Let me know if you think differently for some reason. I would way prefer if this Oella event was a lovely fragment event. You could just add in this rare, because the rare is pretty all right. I'm cool with the rare. He looks visually cool. He's decent. He's not bad. You could pull him early game, be decently happy. Great. Just add in the rare. Don't add this epic in. We don't need a fusion. We don't want to get 4 copies of this epic. No one wants an extra copy of this epic. She is absolute filler trash that doesn't make the game any better by being there. It's just something bad that you can pull from your ancient or sacred shard and feel bad about it. She just sucks. So yeah, this champion is just awful. She's so like, you increase her defense and what's she gonna do? Like, she doesn't even attack. The defense buff, like, she's not gonna die. What's she gonna do with that? Decrease, like, cleansing a single ally? Revive. This champion sucks so much. So yeah, and her portrait's greener than she is. She's just bad. She's just bad. That's all I have to say about it. She shouldn't be in the game. And then we come to the other legendary. So of course, Oella, just to remind you, her A1 that puts decreased speed cannot be resisted if Ultin of the Shell is on the same team. And then her passive, whenever people lose a chunk of HP, she puts continuous heal for 1 turn. If Ultin of the Shell's on the same team, she'll put it up for 2 turns and instantly activate it. So instantly give people a big heal if Ultin of the Shell's on the same team. So not the craziest bonuses if he is there. Well, let's see if he's any good. Ultin of the Shell. Visually looks kind of cool. This is absolutely not what I was expecting. When I heard the name Ultin of the Shell, I was picturing Krisk. I was picturing a big tanky dude. This guy, he almost looks more like a dark elf, right? If this guy was a dark elf, he'd fit in pretty well there, but he's got a cool sort of stag beetle, I guess, look to him, which is kind of nifty. But he is an attack-based legendary, which I do not like, but let's check out his kit. Under the Skin, attack one enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 30 bucks to 50% chance of placing decreased defense for 2 turns. Each hit ignores 50% of the target's resistance if Oella's on the same team. If the target's under increased defense buff, each hit is an 80. That goes to 100% chance of removing it. That cannot be resisted. So potentially very high chance to remove increased defense and place decreased defense. Okay, not super useful, but we'll see. Resurging Reversal. I mean, maybe there'll be a boss at some point, but I don't know. Resurging Reversal. 4 turn bucks to 3 turn cooldown. Removes all debuffs from this champion. Heals this champion by 20% of their max HP for each debuff removed. Then places a shield buff on this champion for 2 turns. The value of the shield is equal to any surplus heal from this skill. So he could potentially get an absolutely massive heal, right? If he gets a few debuffs on himself, he's full health basically. He cleanses them all off. He could give himself a huge shield. And Oella, if they're together, could extend it. All right. Finally, attacks one enemy. Ignores shield buffs. Damage increases by 20% for each debuff removed by this skill. This seems very So the most awkward thing about this, what does Oella do? Oella increases resistance. That's fundamentally what she as a champion is about. She's about increasing resistance. So you build a team with resistance. Resistance stops you getting debuffs, and this champion is all about removing debuffs. So there's a real contradiction there in terms of the pairing. Anyway, Somnolence Spores, 5 turn bucks to a 4 turn cooldown, attacks all enemies, 100% chance of placing sleep for a turn, ignores 50% of the target's resistance if Oella's on the same team, and fills his turn meter by 15% whenever a sleep debuff placed by this skill expires. And then his passive Metabolism, 15% chance of decreasing the cooldown one of his skills by 1 turn each time they're healed by continuous heal. Chance increases to 30% if Oella is on the same team, and then a 30% ally attack in all battles. He's got good high attack, he's got good high crit damage, solid speed, okay HP, and bad defense. So fairly standard attack-based nuker stats. I just think it's a bit weird. Again, the combination with Oella to me just doesn't make sense. She is all about increasing resistance. If her partner champion was a support champion, a defense champion, a champion that a tanky champion, someone you'd be building resistance and accuracy and stuff like that on, it would make sense. But An attack-based nuker is like the last champion you put resistance on. The absolute last. So to me, it doesn't make a ton of sense. Where will he be useful? I think sort of the point would be in a earlier game speed team, right? So let's say Arbiter boosts, Oella would come in and turn meter fill your team, right? So turn meter fill with increased resistance with like an Arbiter, maybe a Sifi, something like that. Then he comes in and he does AoE sleep that ignores a big chunk of resistance, puts them to sleep, and then your actual nuker gets to work. I don't really see where that's very useful though, outside of the mid game, right? Because those double turn meter booster teams sort of fall off. Like an Arbiter speed team doesn't really make sense with Oella. It just doesn't really make sense because she's about increasing resistance, boosting up a tanky team that can take hits. I don't really see that happening. So it seems very strange. Again, the main thing is maybe there's going to be some sort of boss. I don't know. He'd be okay against Sand Devil, I guess. He can sleep it, decrease defense. He can remove buffs from himself. But Sand Devil, we're doing Godseeker teams for that, so I don't super see the point. I don't know. I'm going to be honest. This guy seems to me to be pretty underwhelming. I actually think it's not unlikely now that we could see some sort of guaranteed event for this champion, perhaps, because he just doesn't seem to be that useful to me. Let me know what you think. Like, are you seeing somewhere in the game where you're like, yeah, okay, that would actually be insane. I'd love to have that combo with Oella. I think the two would be really good together. Or even without her, would he be very good somewhere else? I mean, he kind of needs her to build damage so that he can actually put them to sleep and stuff, so he can ignore the resistance. But I don't know. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Maybe when we play test him, he'll turn out to be better. But yeah, so overall, I actually think this is fairly underwhelming. If you are going for the fusion, I do think Oella is cool. I think just the permanent, basically, increased resist to your team, plus lots of healing, makes her a good pick. That could be great for some bosses. Could be really strong. So I'm excited. I haven't tested her yet, but I'm really excited to test her. I think the rare is cool, but early game, he's not important. I think Ulton looks like a pretty massive question mark. And I think the fusion epic looks absolute trash. So unless you're going to go the full way and complete this fusion, which I think if you can do, you should do. If you can complete the fusion, I think you should, generally speaking, unless you're like super busy. Like, I mean, unless you got a big reason where you don't want to. Like, if you're on the fence, I think kind of why not? It's basically always worth it to get a legendary, right? Because it's a pretty easy way to get a legendary, all things considered. But I would not be going for this fusion epic. If you're skipping the fusion, don't even bother with her. She's absolute trash. I would just skip her on principle because she's so bad. And yeah, I don't know. Underwhelming set of champs. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching anyway, guys. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I'm interested to see if anyone can come up for a use of this duo that I'm not seeing, because I'm struggling, I'm gonna be honest. Thanks for watching though. See you next time. Bye bye.